My name is Donovan Packard. I'm a third-year seminarian here at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Seminary, located in Boston, Kentucky. And I'm here to give you a little tour of our humble seminary. So right now we're standing in front of the chapel. The chapel was built in the early 1970s by Father Francis Hannafin. Father Hannafin was a diocesan priest here of the Archdiocese of Louisville. And after the Mass changed, like many priests at that time, he wasn't willing to go along with the new Mass. So he and a large group of faithful came together and they built a chapel. Let's go inside. We have 6 priests here at the seminary, and of course priests need to say Mass every day. So in this small chapel, we have 5 altars. We have the high altar up here. Our 2 side altars. This is the altar of St. Sebastian of the Sacred Heart. In the back of the church, the altar of St. Emerantiana. And over here, we have the altar of St. Helena. In addition to the Holy Mass of all times, we priests and religious pray 3 hours of office in common. First, the hour of prime, then the hour of sex, and the hour of God. All of that is done in this chapel. So here we are inside the schoolhouse. The schoolhouse is now used as a dorm building for the seminarians, and when we have retreats, the retreatants stay in here. It can fit about 15 seminarians at max capacity, but that's only because we had to make some additions. So here we are at the bottom of the schoolhouse, in the bathroom which was recently begun to be renovated. I'm here with seminarian Thomas Vandenham. Thomas, what kind of work have you been doing in here?
Well, we started by ripping out everything that was old in here. The main problem was that the shower was leaking and we didn't have a strong floor. Then we ripped out the floor, reinforced floor, we redid all the drywall. Most of the electricity in here is different. Reran the plumbing in here, and we've been doing it as funds come in, and as they trickle in, we just do a little bit as we can.
So here we are, standing in front of what we call the Seminary Building. This is our main building for really everything. We have dorms in here, we have classes in here, we eat in here. So here we are in the refectory. The refectory is what we call the dining room. Here's our kitchen. I'm the assistant cook, so this is where I spend a lot of my time. We just installed this industrial stove. We're still getting used to it. Here we are in the rec room. This was a carport that we put insulation in and drywalled all ourselves. This building is used primarily as a seminary rec room. When we have large events, which require several altars, for instance Corpus Christi. So here we are in front of Father Pancras' garden. It's just the beginning of spring right now, so you can't see too many of the flowers blooming. But it actually is a very, very beautiful garden. And also, just to remind us of the beauty of God's creation. And we have, as you could probably see, a nice long ditch. This ditch is about 400 feet long, about 3.5 feet deep in some places. This ditch was dug entirely by hand, predominantly by one seminarian named Buck. Buck is from Texas. He's going to be a lay brother. Several other seminarians helped him, but he really did the lion's share of the work. This is going to be actually for laying pipes, as we're fixing up our kitchen, and we need a place for the water to drain.
Hello. How are you?
We are well, Father. It's a bit cold out there.
Yeah.
So this is Father Pancras. Father Pancras is originally from South India.
Yes, South India, the region, the kingdom of one of the Magi kings, Gaspar. One of the Magi kings, Gaspar. I am from his kingdom.
Father, when were you ordained?
I was ordained in the year 1968. 1968, 55 years before.
55 years
I am a
ago.
priest for 55 years.
Wow.
Then I went there, remained with Archbishop Lefebvre, just in front of his room, my room, for 6 months. And Archbishop sent me to Ireland for 2 years for a missionary. And then that way I was connected with the society. I was working for 7 years with them. And then I went back to India. There also I cooperated with the bishops, with the priests and bishops of the society, vice sent. And then afterwards, when time came, I was working with Father Pfeiffer, Joseph Pfeiffer, there in India for 3 years. And then afterwards I had to come with him to Our Lady of Mount Carmel to be with him for life. Yeah.
So yes, Father's one of our main spiritual directors here. Father does actually quite a bit for the seminary, and including planting his own garden there.
Yes.
Father, he's been a priest for 55 years, and he still gets down on his hands and knees, and he still gardens.
Yeah.
Thank you, Father.
Okay. Thank you. God bless you.
So here we are at the bottom of one of our fields. We refer to this section of the field as the soccer field. You could probably guess why. This is where we actually set up our tent for ordinations. In the society, it is our custom that we have ordinations in a tent. Of course, part of that is due to the fact that we typically have hundreds of people come, and our church is not big enough. We built everything in the tent ourselves. Not only do we set it up, we build the altar ourselves, the carpets we install ourselves, the curtains we do ourselves, the painting of everything is done by the sisters, the communion rail, all of it is built by ourselves. Speaking of the sisters, so here we are with Sister Teresa, the Child Jesus. Sister Teresa recently took her first vows in December. We have one professed sister here. We have one novice and one postulant sister. Sister, what is the day-to-day life like in the convent, whatnot?
You wake up at 6, and then you're gonna go to your prayers, and you spend like a lot of different points in the day where you're gonna stop and you're gonna do your prayers. But throughout the day, you're gonna have different works, or if you're at the beginning stages of convent life, you may have classes you have to take and things. But one of the things I've always found the most surprising is you find that you're still yourself. You feel like you're living your regular life, even though to other people it seems very different.
Okay. And then could you also briefly describe your habit here? Which order of sisters do you belong to?
I belong to the order of the Congregation of the Sisters of the Lady of Mount Carmel. And being that we are a new order, in canon law it says that every new order has to be distinct from a different order in what they wear. So our habit has purple on it to distinguish us, and that purple stands for penance and reparation, and taking into consideration the words of Our Lady of Fatima and Our Lady of Oslet and the other apparitions of Our Lady of the last couple hundred years. So I always look at it like right now we have a great work of missions where there are not enough sisters to do all the works of charity that are necessary. So one of our main goals would be to go out and help the elderly, but there are so many other works of charity. We may find in one place we have to start a school, or in another place there's other things we have to do, but that's going to be a particular work. Like every congregation has a fourth vow they add that's particular to their community, and ours is to do all our works for the salvation of souls, particularly all our works and our prayers. And to me that very much seems like the missionary spirit, where you're going to go and you start and do what's necessary where you're at.
Well, thank you, Sister Teresa, for your time. This has been most interesting and actually very illuminating for myself. I didn't know much about the convent life. Originally built in the 1970s to be a church to preserve the true faith. Fast forward all the way till 2023, and we're still doing that, preserving the true faith. The only difference is now we're a seminary. Now, Bishop Joseph Pfeiffer and the priests that are working with him in our little Society of St. Pius X, Marian Corps, are forming priests, are taking men, making them seminarians, and then from there to be priests, to fight in the battlefield, to help save souls, and to defend the church in this great crisis in which we find ourselves.